Ferguson, Managing Director of the Texas Tech University Ethics Center. And I'm having a great opportunity here to visit and talk about ethics with Dr. Michael Eric Dyson from Georgetown University. And Dr. Dyson, can this be Ralph and Mike tonight?
Let's do that.
Okay, Ralph and Mike. One of the things that we want to talk about is that Texas Tech is one of the universities that's trying to build itself in the framework of an ethical institution, which means that what we want to do is really talk to our students about ethics while they're on the campus. So ideally, when they get into the workplace, they'll have a strong and effective moral compass. My question to you is, what do you think about ethics being on a university campus?
Well, Ralph, I think it's extremely important for ethics to be present. We don't want to have people imposing a narrow framework in regard to moral philosophy, moral bearing, moral self-understanding on anybody, but let's assume that all human creatures are motivated at some level by an ethical concern, either the observance of it or the offense given to it, crossing a line or observing one. So ethical behavior is about the conscious activity of governance that permits an adherence to a set of standards, goals, noble, ambitions that a person, holds dear. What is the basis of your action? What's the motivation for what you do? How do you treat another human being? How do you deal with complex situations? How do you deal with conflicts? So I think ethics are extremely important on a college campus.
Well, Mike, the other piece of what we're looking to do is that every discipline has a code of ethics or guiding principles. And we strongly encourage, in working with our faculty, that they talk about that code of ethics and guiding principles to their students in the classroom. Do you think enough of that is done where we talk to students about disciplinary ethics to let them know that when you get out, and if you're in sociology or in business, you really don't want to take and misrepresent the data or the facts that you're collecting, that you really want to be empowered to say what facts are as opposed to manufacturing facts?
Yeah, well, fake news is never a good thing, right? So yeah, you want to have some governing principles that allow you to express clearly and rationally, what your aspirations are, what your desires are, how you intend to acquire the goals that you pursue. I remember the great thinker, philosopher, religious ethicist, if you will, Howard Thurman, who said there are three questions. Who am I? What do I want? And how do I propose to get it? So, when you think about ethical behavior, you're thinking about those undergirding principles that give you character, that allow you to have a set of practices and behaviors over space and time. You're trying to inculcate virtue. You're trying to reproduce good behavior, good thinking, and reflections upon what it means to be a decent person, and then use those values to guide your, practice and behavior in the world. And so it's extremely important for people to be clear about what that means. And I think that all human beings covet an atmosphere or a situation where the principles by which they live are made plain, and that they're clear about what their values and goals and aspirations are.
Let me kind of move a little bit forward in the topic. One of the things that we're seeing now is that when students graduate, they're going to be working in an integrated society with individuals from different cultures and different religious practices. Do you think in our current society, our domestic universities, do you think they do enough now to train our students with the kind of ethical understanding associated with relationships and working with other cultures and other religious groups?
I mean, we need to do far more of that, to be tolerant, and not just tolerant, but curious and embracing difference. Unfortunately, we live in a society right now where the most powerful man in the world is not only a bully, not only a bigot, but a person who's not especially curious about the other. You know, when you're trying to build a wall to keep out some Mexicans, you're missing the point, right? And I think that, you know, he's authorized the public articulation and expression of some of the most heinous prejudices, some of the most vile bigotries, and some of the most ridiculous hates of other human beings. And there's been an uptick in hate crimes and assaults upon vulnerable populations and minorities. So we need to do a far better job of appreciating the other, appreciating different cultures, different races, different religions, sexual orientations, but internationally and globally. Just people from different places, Muslim brothers and sisters, those who read the Tao Te Ching, those who read the Bhagavad Gita, those who read the Holy Quran, those who read the Hebrew Bible, you know, speaking religiously. So we should all be open to differences and tolerate those differences, and more than tolerate them, promote a kind of interaction with people. Because when we discover who people are, then we feel better about them. We know where they come from. We know the historical context for their development, or at least get a feel for it. Then you're more likely to not demonize other people who look like them, and to be open to difference in a way that you might not ordinarily be.
And Mike, I appreciate those remarks and what you have and what you're saying about ethics. Right now, in our ethics center, we're creating a lot of programs that reach to a lot of students. The signals that we get from our surveys is that we're doing some good, but our surveys are representative of about 2,000 students out of our 30,000 plus campus.
Right.
What else do you think needs to be done to generate more information and more awareness about ethics, not only on Texas Tech campus, but on other campuses around the country?
Well, you know, have practical activities that allow students to wrestle with moral dilemmas, conundrums, perplexities, you know, and problems that stump them. You want the hard cases and you want the easy ones. You want the everyday ones. The hard cases may prove to be exceptional, you know, but the everyday ones, stuff that, you know, in their ordinary business of living, they confront. And, you know, simulate those situations, integrate them into a broader curriculum so that people can begin to learn about them, or that people in different disciplines, you know, learn to value and teach the value of having those kind of conversations. The philosopher Michael Oakeshott talks about conversation as a kind of metaphor for philosophy, and how we try to contend with issues of truth, and how we narrate the truth, and how we talk about things that are of ultimate importance to us. So I think if we do that, we'll be far better along and further along than we were before.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. That's what we want to do, is create these dialogues, these conversations, because as you have also remarked, we have so many things going on in the world and so many challenges coming our way. And it's important that you continue to sustain yourself and talk about these things. It's important that universities encourage these dialogues, whether they're a difficult dialogue or an easy dialogue. We need to encourage them, given the fact that we've got countries that have been, where the children have known nothing but violence in the world. We've got to rethink the way we want to relate and how we want our moral compass to be active in this world. Mike, I have no more questions. Are there any other remarks you'd like to make in reference to the ethical challenges that we're facing going forward in this country?
I don't add that clearly it's important to develop habits, dispositions, and skills that permit you to engage in a virtuous life, not a you know, kind of condescending piety, but a kind of virtuous life where you have values, where you know what your value is, how you value other ideas, peoples, persons, and from there, how you leverage your moral authority as a citizen to enhance the ethical strength of this nation. And when we do that, that means that we're working with each other, talking to each other, trying to have good dialogue with each other, and as a result of that, making a contribution to the health and sanity of our nation.
Mike, thank you. I appreciate you coming to Texas Tech, and I also appreciate your insight and thoughts about ethics and its importance and value, not only to our university, but to our nation and its well-being. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right.